Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsockеtradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
All right, it is time for Coffee Ann here on ON Radio. It's Friday morning. It's October 20th. I'm Joe Callahan. Thanks for joining us this morning. And Melissa Murray says she'll be here in 2 minutes. Stuck in the fog and the traffic out there. But joining me, I'm Joe Callahan. Joining me, by the way, Brian Thompson from the Woonsocket City Council. Hi, Brian.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you here. This is your inaugural debut, right?
It is with you, yes. I've been on with Dave before, but
okay.
With you it is.
Very good. The first segment of the Coffee Ann program is sponsored by the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. They remind you they have a few events coming up. Their Bourbon Bites and Cigars is coming up on October 25th at the Kirkbrae Country Club. A spirited evening of tastings, curated craft spirits and cigars. That's from 5 to 7 p.m. at Kirkbrae Country Club, October 25th. Wednesday, November 1st is their Welcome Wednesday at the Woonsocket Education Center right here in the city. Don't miss out on this opportunity to grow your network and make connections that matter. Registration is free, but it is required. This is from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning, and then they have their Eggs and Issues on November 2nd. Meet the candidates for Congress, both of them. Gabe Amo and Jerry Leonard will be there. November 2nd, 8:30 to 9:30 at the Kirkbrae Country Club. For more information on this, visit their website, nrichamber.com. You can also give them a call at 334-1000. All right. So, Brian's on the city council here in the city of Woonsocket. So, was this your first attempt at becoming a city councilor when you got elected?
It was, Joe.
Yeah? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, congratulations on your first attempt. Usually that doesn't happen.
No, it's actually a rarity in this city. So, I'm very fortunate that the voters of the city decided to pick me.
A newcomer.
Newcomer, and I can tell you I work extremely hard for each and every one of them every day.
All right. Since you've been on the city council now, and so it's been almost a year?
11 months now, yes.
Okay, almost a year. What has surprised you the most about being on the city council after probably watching it for so long, being on the other side of the table?
I don't know that anything has surprised me personally. I think the voters in the city are very passionate about what they believe in, and I can tell you that I do believe that we get a lot of emails, we get a lot of calls
from constituents.
Yep. I don't find that anything was overwhelming, but I do find that it's a little bit more than I expected. People do pay attention in the city.
And so they're passionate about whatever the issue might be.
They are.
Okay.
They are.
Great. Melissa Murray has joined us. I don't think it was 2 minutes, but okay.
Maybe.
Little bit. But
Okay.
Little traffic situation?
Bus.
A bus situation. Okay. Well, it happens, right?
8 in the morning. What are you going to do?
Well, that's right.
I know. But I came ready with my coffee pre-made. So
well, perfect. Well, when the buses stop every 20 feet, I mean, that's what you deal with.
Parkab's good like that.
All right. What are your thoughts on the whole Dignity Bus?
So the Dignity Bus, I mean, I believe it's a Band-Aid for what we're actually trying to accomplish with the homelessness situation in the city. I think it's a step in the right moving forward. I think it's the step in the moving forward, but I don't think it's gonna solve 100% of what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to get people off the streets. Get them into solidified housing and stuff like that. And I got to be honest. I've talked to, and I think people listened to me the other night. Some constituents have called me from Coast Street, and they're concerned about the bus being in a residential area.
Okay.
And it's something that I got to talk to Vice President Gonzalez about when she gets back. She was on vacation, which good for her. Her and her husband deserve that. But I didn't want to, just tube the whole thing the other day without her being back. But we have gotten some phone calls from that area, it being in a residential area. Maybe we discuss moving it in a different spot. But
would you like to see it move to another
I personally, at this point, would like to see it in a different spot.
Okay.
I know it was kind of rushed through, and I get all that. I have a feeling that it may cause some rift in the neighborhood that it's in on South Main.
Do you have an idea of where you think it should go?
I want to talk to my council colleagues about it, and to be fair, I want to talk to the mayor about it. I think we have to collaboratively work together to find the best spot for such. And by the way, the services that are provided by CCA and the other groups, it is a bit of a walk from there. You know, you're going to see this happen at 8 in the morning, and then you're going to see it at 6 at night again, going back to the bus, walking through Market Square. Those are some of my concerns right now. But again, I do want to talk to the vice president when she gets back and collaboratively work with her on this.
What about you, Melissa? Would you like to see the Dignity Bus in a different place?
I think, well, I'll just say, and I'll put it out there, I think no matter where it goes, there's going to be an NIMBY factor. But we talked about it just yesterday, saying that, you know, if somebody is doesn't have a home and you just drop them and say, look, here's a place where you can stay, but they don't have access to all of the things that they need, then you're not really solving a problem. I mean, like the counselor said, this is a Band-Aid for sure. It is not going to put anyone on the path to housing, but it will save lives. I mean, winter is coming quickly, and no human being should be out in the cold. I think that's something we can all agree on. This is not good for the health of the people out there, the residents, the businesses, the city in general. No one deserves, no matter what their circumstances, no one deserves to die out in the cold alone. So I think it'll save lives, but it is a small dent into a huge problem. And, you know, it's really up to the council and the community to weigh in on where they feel that it best needs to be, but it does need to be accessible to the services that people need.
Would it be better if it was in CCA's parking lot on Clinton Street? Now, I don't know if they can hook up to water there or not, but would that be a feasible location?
So, if I may, I think the issue that we're struggling with is Holy Family does have a sewer hookup, and they do have an electrical hookup. I think that was part of, you know, I know Father Sweet stepped in, and
And he's been amazing.
And I commend him for that. I'm not, you know, he stepped up when the vice president needed him to. But again, it happens so fast, Joe, that I think now that we've had some time to, you know, digest this whole scenario, we're like, what makes sense with the services, right? And I don't know that we can get I don't know if we can get it down there. We, as a city, I mean, I don't know if the bus can move during the day or it can't. I mean, again, that's something I got to talk to the solicitor about with insurance. But we do have, you know, sewer services down at the wastewater treatment center where we can dump tanks down there. So if we had an electrical hookup, but again, those are things that I have to address with the solicitor and the vice president when she gets back.
Okay. Going back to what we were talking about yesterday, Melissa, talking about the test scores and you thought it was a poverty issue. Well, I got a note that was written into me, and they said the problem is the 7% sales tax and other taxes on fuel, restaurant services, licensing fees, state application fees, and internet purchases, which make a low-income individual's effective tax burden ridiculous. My father used to say, nickels and dimes make quarters. The state of Rhode Island takes many nickels and dimes from the poor and creates dollars.
That's true.
Would you
agree
with that?
I agree that the less you make,
Yeah.
the higher percentage in overall taxes you pay. I had a proposition to fix that, but folks didn't really like my argument that, you know, the top 1% should pay their fair share, not more than us, but the same as you and me and everybody out there, mostly everybody out there listening. And it would net an extra $165 million a year for the state, and we could use that money to give back to cities and towns, particularly distressed cities and towns, so that, you know, we could ease the burden. You know, people think of taxes in one bucket, And when you knock on doors, and Brian, you know, because you knock on thousands of doors like I do,
Sure.
and people are the first thing, my taxes are so high. Typically what they're talking about are property taxes. People you don't knock on somebody's door and they're like, my income taxes are so high. Or the sales tax is so high. Maybe, but typically they're talking about property taxes. And if we could generate that little bit of revenue, and you know, we talk about millionaires, really it's billionaires. And so if you tax a billionaire 2% more, after the end of the day, they're still a billionaire. But we could use that money to disperse to the cities and towns to alleviate the property taxes, and that would give a lot of people some breathing room. But I'll be putting that bill in again this year, but some folks don't like it.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
A follow-up on that note was the state of Rhode Island makes tons of monies off of the poor, especially during times of recession, because when prices go up, the amount of taxes generated goes up, which means the state makes more, all without having to create an actual tax increase. In addition, the busiest time of the month at the Twin River Casino in Lincoln are the 2 to 3 days right after the Social Security checks come out. Now, on these days, the state of Rhode Island has no problem taking 69% of the casino profits from low-income and elderly people. But you can't stop them from going to the casino.
You can't. Could you read that first part of the comment? Because I didn't really.
State of Rhode Island makes tons of money off of the poor, especially during times of recession, because when prices go up, the amount of taxes generated goes up, which means the state makes more, all without having to create an actual tax increase.
So the income tax, the sales tax doesn't go up regardless of whether we're in a recession or not, and that's one of our top three revenue generators. One of the top three too is the lottery, including casinos and tickets and all that. I think actually, you know, it's the big corporations that are doing the price gouging, and we're not getting any taxes from them either. So I would argue that in some cases the state needs to put more money towards lifting folks out of poverty.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, Brian?
I'll leave that one.
It's a big one. It's early in the morning.
I'll leave that one to the senator for now.
Because it's more of a state issue.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right. Things going on in the city that you know, at the last council meeting that you want to talk about?
There's one that I sponsored myself with a couple other counselors, but I was the main sponsor of, and that was the pilots for the social clubs. We were able to I was able to speak with the mayor, myself, and the social clubs last year had a 25% tax rate through the nonprofit status that they had. Unfortunately, their pilot programs had ended in 2019. And I don't want to say lack of an assessor, but I think, you know, we having a good assessor like we do with John Paglarini right now, you know, stuff evolved at City Hall, and he said, wait a second, these pilots don't exist. And, you know,
they were still paying under the pilot.
They were paying under the pilot. Yeah, they were still paying the 25% for the last couple of years. 1 year, I believe, in 2020, they were paying 50% under an agreement they had. And then they went back down for some odd reason to 25%. And then this year, the tax assessor was, you know, there was no agreement from the city council. There was no ordinance saying, hey, these agreements are in place, authorizing the mayor to sign them. And we were left with a situation where we sent them a bill for 100%. So, you know, some of these clubs went from $4,000 to $16,000. And these clubs do.
They probably push back on that.
Yeah.
So there was some back and forth. You know, we're not going to be able to do fundraisers for people.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to do scholarships for young adults that were going to college or going to, you know, a secondary school or stuff like that. You know, I waited it out a little while. I think most of my colleagues know this. I waited it out for a good couple months to see, you know, what would evolve from it. It didn't evolve. We've had so much stuff going on in the city. I think people just punted it for a little while. Well, I got done punting. I tried to find a way to be fair and equitable to the social clubs, and my original ordinance put together a 55% start, and it was a 5-year period, and it increased 5% for over 5 years, topping out at 75%. Well, we had a workshop last Wednesday, and I felt like we were splitting hairs at that point.
Okay.
And I reached out to some of my colleagues. I reached out to the mayor again, and we had a great conversation about it. And I basically said, why don't we do a 3-year deal at 50% fixed? And the reality is, over the 3 years, remember, we're starting at 50%, so we were already, what the legislation was is we were already there. We already knew what the 50% was. We were, the revenue loss is $9,800 over the next 3 years. With the stuff that we've been abating and doing, with other stuff and mistakes that have happened, I don't think that was unreasonable. I think we did a great job of helping the social clubs in a situation that they can change their business model over the next couple of years. And again, it's up to the next council, or maybe I'm there, maybe I'm not. I don't know. But they have an opportunity. They know for the next 3 years. I'd like to do something permanent. Over time, I'd like to have a conversation. But for the time being, that was what I thought was best. And my colleagues agreed. So we amended it back this past Monday to 50% for 3 years. I think everybody's happy. I think the mayor's happy. I'm happy. My colleagues are happy that we have something in place. But I can tell you that there are other nonprofits that are going to be coming forward to ask us for some relief also. And the only thing I want to state on this is that they're substantially different. And I think the senator will tell you that, and the reason why I say that is they have a component of state and federal funding that they get. The social clubs don't get that.
Right.
So we didn't want to group them together as a package, because you can't look at it through a microscope that way. I didn't think. One has a situation where they get no state and federal funding, and in the educational and the other nonprofits, they get state and federal funding, and we have to look at that in a different lens, I believe. So that's kind of why we left them off. I think President Beauchamp, speaking to him on Monday, said, hey, he wants to address it further. I think, he, myself, and the mayor should all talk and see where we're going to end up on this.
How do the clubs take to this?
I think the clubs, always want, they'd like to be zero.
Well, of course, yeah.
They'd like to be zero, right? And like I tried to strike a balance. Hopefully they're not upset with the council. I won't say myself. I thought 50% is a lot better than 100%.
Yep.
Right? And it's the shock and awe effect, yeah. I thought, right? So, 100%, I've explained to them, hey, we got you down to 50%. You're going to have to fix your business model. And I'm hopeful that they'll continue to support me, knowing that I tried to do something instead of just sitting on my hands.
Did it pass first time at the city council?
Yes, it did, Joe. It passed unanimously.
Okay, great.
The good thing about the 3 year is it's predictable for the clubs, so that they know
it's gonna be.
what is going to be and for how long. Because that in limbo where you're like, well, we don't really have an agreement, and hopefully we'll get bill this 25%, and then getting whacked with 100%, I'm sure was So I think predictability is a good idea.
All right. We're going to take a break here on the Coffee Am program. The first segment of Coffee Am has been sponsored by the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. They have a couple events coming up on October 25th. Bourbon Bites and Cigars at Kirkbrae Country Club from 5 to 7 p.m. A spirited evening of tastings, curated craft spirits, and cigars. On November 1st, it's Welcome Wednesday at the Woonsocket Education Center from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning. Don't miss out on this opportunity to grow your network and make connections that matter. Registration is free but required. And Eggs and Issues on November 2nd, also at Kirkbrae Country Club, 8:30 to 9:30. You can meet the candidates for governor, Gabe Amo and Jerry Leonard. For more information, visit their website at nrichamber.com or give them a call, 334-1000.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate. It's time to get out the vote for the very best of the BlackstoneValley.com, presented by Landmark Medical Center. Got a favorite burger, favorite gym, a doctor, place to shop? Vote for them and more at the bestoftheblackstonevalley.com now until November 1st. Show your support for the local businesses in the Blackstone Valley and let your voice be heard by voting for the businesses you love. Vote now through November 1st, daily, once a day, at bestoftheblackstonevalley.com.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
ON Radio.
It's Coffee and on ON. Thanks for joining us on this Friday morning. This is Joe Callahan here with Melissa Murray and also Brian Thompson from the Woonsocket City Council. Just finishing up his first year, or coming up on his first year as a council member. Did you make it down to Autumn Fest this year?
I did.
Yeah, good time?
It was a great time. The steering committee does a phenomenal job of preparing, and I think they start right after it's over for the following year.
Well, we take a few months off, and then we get together.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that everybody did a phenomenal job. Very, very proud on how they handle themselves and get everything put together. I think, that's a staple in the city of Woonsocket. People love that thing. So they love that festival. I know I do. I think it's great for everybody. And I look forward to many more years of it. So.
All right. I don't know if you know the answer to this one. It might be more of a better of a question for Garrett Manseri, but I'll ask you anyway, because we always heard that this is going to be the last year of that stage at World War II Park, and then it was going to be disassembled, and a new one's coming. Do you have any update on that?
So it's funny that you bring this up, because this Councilman Manseri brought this up at the council meeting on Monday night. I know that there is a RFP out right now for the stage. He's very hopeful, and I'm very hopeful that, by the springtime we're building a new stage over there. The mayor did address it. I know she was trying to get some bids back to get it going, but I know Garrett, Councilman Manseri, pardon me, he is definitely looking forward to getting that stage done.
All right, great.
No doubt.
So are the performers that come to the
Yeah,
stage.
absolutely.
They look at it.
Listen,
go,
there's no doubt that we need a new stage up there. Right? We all agree.
It's a little on the rickety side.
It's outlived its useful life,
Yes,
as I would say.
It has.
I do believe. Yeah, I do believe it changes the dynamic down in that park. Once that happens.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. What else in the city would you like to see take place as a councilman on the?
Well,
on the
again,
city
there's
council?
some areas I know I can tell you that we talked about some property on River Street. I think we all know that River Street is, it's not in the up and up right now, right? I mean, you drive down there, you look at the street. Again, we purchased some property to match with some other property that we may acquire to try to get some development down there. I'm hopeful that we can change the dynamic of what the looks of River Street is. I know that, Fast Eddie's is down there now.
Doing very well.
They're
Yeah,
doing very well.
Yeah.
I've gone in for dinner myself there. I think place is great. I'd love to see that
Grow.
that transform into, a cleaner looking area. But I could say the same about Woonsocket in multiple areas, and I will give credit when credit is due. That I know the mayor comes to us constantly about this, and she's always looking for ways to, certain areas say, hey, we can do this if we buy this piece of property. I think it puts us in a situation where the city can control, and again, maybe that's not the right word, but we can control what our destiny is, right? When it comes to economic development in the city, I think her vision there is good, and it's equal to my vision. I think the senator would agree. There's certain areas in the city that we want to develop, and by the way, there's no doubt that we need housing, right? Mm-hmm. And good affordable housing, and I think me and the senator would just not disagree, but we would have some strong conversation about subsidized housing to a certain extent. Sometimes we just I want to be very careful because we do a lot. The city of Woonsocket does a lot. Mm-hmm. I want to say we're at 16 or 17%.
Oh, at least.
At least that. I mean, and I'm not picking on other communities, but I can tell you that other communities are not even close to that.
Lower,
because that law has no teeth.
It does not, and I would agree, and I think the senator would agree. And my personal opinion is, it's tough for us because we take some of that tax burden here. Mm-hmm. That's all. I mean, I know the senator will weigh in herself, but it's something that the council struggles with. I think the state legislature struggles with it because, again, this is their community too. And they're like, whoa, if Jamestown is only doing 4%, why is Woonsocket eating the burden? Again, we are an urban community.
And Newport's up there too.
Yeah,
Newport is probably the only one that, people think of Newport as like being like super posh. But
in one area, but
yeah, right. And the discrepancy between the haves and the have-nots in Newport is like
night and day.
It is like night and day. But we need, when people talk about subsidized, affordable housing, people talk about affordable housing, they always default towards subsidized housing. But there is different types of affordable housing. There's affordable by subsidy, and then there's affordable by design. And we really don't have much affordable housing in this city. I know a lot of folks who are like doubling up, families who are doubling up. I happened to be in a store, last week, and someone said, "Oh, how are you going? Did you find a place?" And the woman who worked there said, "Oh no, my landlord raised my rent $1,000, and I had to move." And she said, "I just can't find a place. So right now, me and my husband are staying with friends. We're couch surfing." Wow. And she was, maybe in her 60s.
Yeah, no young chicken.
And
right?
right. And so this is the reality for so many people. Yeah. And no one's really talking about this, but is the answer rent control? Is the answer,
When they say they raised the rent $1,000, are they getting people that can afford it?
They're getting
Which that always boggles my mind. I'm going to raise it $1,000, but who's renting it?
Well, right. Do 5 people come in and rent it?
Right.
And that's problematic also. Because we're already densely populated, and now we have like no housing stock, and single family homes are great, but we need everything in between, and people need to have stuff that is affordable, meaning like they can afford it and not be house poor and not have to have a roommate or not have to move in with another family. And the reality is that's happening more and more. So, like I said yesterday, Rhode Island is last in the nation for new housing of all kinds. We're like last in the nation. So, I know that we have allocated hundreds of millions of dollars as a state legislature in the past 2.5 years. I'm not seeing that going out the door. So,
You see,
we can allocate the money as a legislature, but we're not the ones that are administering it. That's obviously the administration. So I'd like to see them really think outside the box and move a little bit faster.
Would this be feasible for Rhode Island and specifically for Woonsocket? This is what the governor in Massachusetts wants to do. She announced a $4 billion plan to jumpstart production of new housing in Mass. She was out in the western part to unveil this plan. Governor's office says this represents the largest proposed investment in housing in state history, and they want to construct more than 40,000 new homes, many of which will be for low-income and middle-income households.
Sounds like a good plan. I would need to really dig down
the
and get into the
specifics.
weeds on that, though.
Yeah. Let's see what it
It
really entails.
theoretically, it sounds great, but
Yeah.
the devil's in the details.
Right. Okay, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee Amp program. More coming your way. It's time for the forecast being brought to you by Unbound.org. Today, mostly cloudy with a slight chance of showers after noontime. High temperature will be near 65. Light southeast wind increasing to 8 to 13 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy skies, showers likely before midnight, then showers likely and possibly a thunderstorm after midnight. Low temperature around 56. East wind around 6 miles per hour. Saturday's forecast, cloudy, rain, and possibly a thunderstorm. High will be near 62. Saturday night, cloudy. Chance of rain before 9 p.m., then a chance of showers after that. We'll have some patchy fog as well. Low temperature around 48. Sunday, partly sunny, slight chance of showers in the afternoon. High will be near 56. Monday, mostly sunny, high near 57. Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, and we have cloudy skies and 53 degrees. A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change their world, and it will change your own at unbound.org.
At Menard Lockature Funeral Home, we focus on partnering with you to plan a loving remembrance for those we've lost. At any venue of your choice, whether a church or our home, whatever your preference, whether for burial or cremation, planning a loving remembrance with a personal touch is our mission. Special music, a dove release, even a motorcycle escort, anything that you deem appropriate can be a part of your loving tribute. Menard Lockature Funeral Homes, Woonsocket in Manville.
Let me say a word about Chan's Fine Oriental Dining at 267 Main Street in Woonsocket. Yes, this is where you get to enjoy the best. Book your next party with Chan's. They have a lovely room, as you know. And great food like the wonton soup, the crab rangoon, boneless ribs, teriyaki sesame chicken, and general chicken, and 5-spice shrimp, lo mein, fried rice. Gosh, I don't have to go through all of it, do I? 32 special combo dinners at Chan's. Delicious and reasonably priced. Friday and Saturday, you have WRIK karaoke in the lounge from 8 to 11. And, of course, Mai Tais and Scorpion Bowls to go. At Chan's, 765-1900, delivery at 762-1364, Chan's. Vote today, every day, once a day, for all your favorites at bestofthe-blackstone-valley.com, presented by Landmark Medical Center.
This portion of the Coffee Amp program is sponsored by the Valley Breeze newspaper.
The Valley Breeze has been a local news leader since its founding in 1996, and more people are reading our stories today than ever before. We believe our mission of making our community stronger by telling their stories is not just a tagline, but a way of life for our staff as they connect with you, our loyal readers and advertisers. Our team thanks you for always reading, always reaching out, and always helping toward our shared vision. Check out any of our 5 editions or visit valleybreeze.com for more.
All right, it's Coffee Inn on ON Radio. Joe Callahan here with Brian Thompson from the Woonsocket City Council and Melissa Murray here as well. Usually Rich Lane joins us on a Friday, but he could not be with us this week to talk about what's going on at the Post 85 here in Woonsocket. He'll be joining us next week. Want to bring up that we have a doubleheader of high school football game tonight and game tomorrow. And tonight's game is a Division II game. Division II against Division I. Cumberland, who is 6-0, is taking on the Division I team of North Kingstown. They are 4-2 on the year. It should be a good test for Cumberland. They will be relying on their running back, Andrew Ray, to do his thing. But the big question will be if Evan Spencer is 100% healthy to lead the attack. Clippers average 24.2 points per game while giving up just 8.1 points per game. That's really good right there. The defense will be tested as North Kingstown's QB, Braden Rogers, has already thrown for 1,400 yards this season to 7 different receivers. And then on Saturday, we have Burrillville hosting East Providence, and what could be taking place in tropical conditions. It's supposed to rain quite a bit. And Burrillville will put the ball in the hands of 500-yard rusher Leland Kelleher to control the game and keep East Providence off the field. Burrillville averages 16 points a game, but will give up 21 on their way to their 3-3 record. East Providence comes in at 2-4, hoping to keep their playoff hunt alive. So tonight's game's at 7. Join Kevin Callahan and Brendan McGarr, and the game tomorrow is at noontime. Both games here on ON with Kevin and Brendan. So the Best of the Blackstone Valley, Melissa, is off and running. The voting has started.
It is. Voting started on Wednesday. So if you haven't voted, you can vote right now. We heard a little spot about that earlier, a little promo. We heard ads from Karen Celeste Benjamin, from Chan's, from the Menard Lockature Funeral Home. But there are all of these businesses, hundreds of businesses that you all nominated. And now it's time to vote. And you can vote once a day for your favorite businesses.
Yep.
So you can go to our website, onesocketradio.com, and click on the link, and it takes you right to the voting page. Or you can go on our Facebook page. There's links on the Facebook page. Or you can just go to bestofthe.blackstonevalley.com, no spaces, bestofthe.blackstonevalley, all one word, .com, and it'll take you right to the voting. And I'm excited to see what businesses are going to be voted the best of, because we have a lot of really great restaurants and shops and businesses that really deserve that recognition.
Yeah. And I've been to do it. I've done a little voting myself.
I did. I tested it out to make sure it was all running well, and everything seems
Yep.
to be in order.
And it's all brought to us by Landmark Medical Center.
Yeah.
Our big title sponsor of the Best
yep.
of the Blackstone Valley. So feel free
We
to
appreciate them.
just hit on the voting starts here, and you pick your favorite categories, and then you see all the nominated businesses. Click the one you like. You can only click one, because I tried doing that. Oh, I want to do this one and this one and this one.
Nope. Just one.
As soon as you click off one and then click on another, the first one goes away. Oh, you can only pick one. Oh, I see
Yeah.
how this works. Okay.
No ranked choice here, just one.
That's right. So, okay, great. Let's see. Other things going on around the state. There was a stabbing at East Providence High School between two students. Wow.
Yep.
As a 17 and a 16-year-old. The 16-year-old was transported. He was the one that was stabbed in one of the school's bathrooms. He was transported to Hasbro Children's Hospital. He's in stable condition. They did arrest the 17-year-old that allegedly did the stabbing, and no word. They don't release the names, obviously, because they're youngsters.
Do they have metal detectors there?
I don't know.
Good question, right?
Yeah. Maybe he hit it somehow. I don't know.
Sure.
Doesn't say what they stabbed with. I mean, we're just assuming it's a knife.
Oh, right. Good point.
Could be.
No pun intended.
Could be a stick. I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
So, just crazy stuff. Do you get updates, Brian, on what happens at the Woonsocket High School?
Well, so I mean, the
Or
reality
we had that incident.
we just
with
had an
Greer
incident the other day
with the flare gun.
gun,
guy.
the
yeah.
flare gun, and by the way, there was also a knife there from what the report that I had read.
Okay.
And again, that was just on the news. That wasn't a report that was given to us from Director Gillette or anything from the city. Mm-hmm. This goes back to a lot of things for me. That is concerning to me. I mean, my daughter was going to school in the middle school, and there was constant fighting in the afternoons.
Outside the school?
Yeah,
or inside
at the end of the day, and again, I don't want to. I'm not trying to cause any trouble with this, but
Yeah.
There's thousands of kids leaving school at the same time. It's you can only put so many police officers in an area, right?
Right.
You can only the city can only afford so many, and I think this community does a phenomenal job of getting police officers, an officer in each Villanova and Hamlet and at the high school. And I know they have another officer that kind of floats from elementary school to elementary school. I think we do a phenomenal. Chief Oates does a phenomenal job with Director Gillette and the administration on making sure that our schools are protected. I think that that's first and foremost for me. I know it's first and foremost for the administration. I know it is. We've discussed this behind closed doors from the administration. The kids are first and foremost for us. But yeah, I think we could probably put 10 police officers there, and something still will happen.
Oh, sure.
Is it a little concerning that a young 16-year-old and I believe they were brothers. I don't know their names because again they were juveniles. One has a knife, one has a flare gun. The flare gun went off. It is a bit concerning that we're having these conversations in the city.
Yeah,
you know?
almost. Well, but it's not just the city, right? It's in East Providence. It's everywhere,
Yes.
and like it's every week, multiple times a week. I mean, I think there's a lot of factors here, but I think we need more mental health counselors in the schools because you like Brian said, we could put as many cops out. You're never.
But I don't know if this is a mental health issue. This is just,
I feel
being
like
well. It's
it
like
could be both.
yeah, there's something right.
It's boys with a lot of testosterone getting their aggressions out. That's not necessarily a mental health issue.
Things are different than when I was growing up at 16 years
Well,
old.
me too.
Than they are today. I
Right,
mean,
this
again,
is more than fisticuffs, right? This is
Right.
weapons.
Yeah,
So
There's weapons now.
That's the thing.
That's
I mean,
yeah.
we didn't at 16 years old where I grew up. We didn't talk about. I mean, if you got in an argument with your buddy and you
It was your fist.
you use your fists and then you were best friends again the next day. These young kids now, they don't realize the ramifications of their actions, right?
the magnitude of it, though, at all?
Yeah. I mean, anytime a knife's involved, listen, you're looking at
Assault with a deadly
yeah,
weapon.
you're looking at real time for something.
Yeah.
People's lives your lives get ruined
Yeah.
when this happens.
Yeah. And once you go away, you're not
Yeah.
going to get rehabilitated. Let's face it.
It's very difficult. I wish, I don't want to say the wrong thing here, but I do think, it starts with us parents, right? I have 6 children. It starts with parents. I'm sorry to say it like that, but I think that's factual. I mean, we're very lax. I mean, I can tell you I have 6 kids ranging from 27 down to 14. And what a difference from when my oldest was his oldest and now down to my 14. I do things differently than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Things have, society has evolved a certain way. I try to be as the same fairness with each and every one of them, but it's not always easy. I mean, again, society has evolved and, it may be moving in a direction where not all of us can even stop it. So
Right.
it's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we've come to a place where a lot of people, not just kids, but adults, feel like, aggression is the only way to solve their problems.
I was just going to say that. What if the parents are saying, yeah, go get them?
Right, or
Any-
what if
any-
they?
any way
what if
necessary.
it's happening in the home, right? And I'll go, okay, well,
that's right.
this is how I deal with my feelings. This is how I deal with my frustration through violence.
Yeah.
Right, and we've all moved in that direction, even as a nation, as a world. I mean, it's kind of crazy right now.
Should we blame video games?
Yeah, I don't think they've been. Or maybe we should go like Tipper Gore and blame music and it was Prince. It's because of Prince.
I know.
No, but
That was a long time ago.
yeah, I know it was a long time ago.
Well, and I can tell you
But-
something real quick. I mean, it's funny. My son just texted me because he's listening right now. And
The oldest one?
The oldest one, believe it or
All
not,
right.
is listening. So hi, Justin. He just mentioned something. Fix the judicial system. I think personally, the senator to my right has. They've been grappling with this for many, many years. What's right? What's wrong? What's a crime that deserves to be someone being incarcerated, and what's a crime that does, not so much. I think there's some sort of a balance there, and I don't know, I think every state struggles with it. I mean, you from Rhode Island, you look at Texas. Texas, it's scorched earth down there.
Yeah.
They just, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that either. I mean, I absolutely believe in law and order. But again, we spend a lot of money on incarceration too.
Yeah,
For-
it's expensive.
for something like something minor. I mean, again, something major. I would agree that you probably should be off the street.
Yeah.
100%. Again, I'm a law and order guy all day long. So, but I just he mentioned that, and I took it in, and I'm like, I hear you, but
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we have to take a hard look at what we are doing, and like, okay, a kid acts out. It depends on what they do, and we send them to a juvenile detention center,
Training center.
a training school, or
a nice way of putting it.
right. That's a nice way of saying juvenile detention center, which is a jail for kids. So, is some for some kids, they're going to keep going there. But if we can point them in another direction, if we can lead them in another direction, I don't have the answers on how to do that, right? But I mean, you do need to take a hard look at, like, all right, are we just throwing people in jail because they're a problem and we don't want to deal with the problem? And then it's costing us, right?
Oh, sure.
So, and big time.
All right. We'll take another break here on the Coffee Am program. More coming your way. And this portion of Coffee Am was sponsored by the Valley Breeze newspaper.
The Valley Breeze has been a local news leader since its founding in 1996, and more people are reading our stories today than ever before. We believe our mission of making our community stronger by telling their stories is not just a tagline, but a way of life for our staff as they connect with you, our loyal readers and advertisers. Our team thanks you for always reading, always reaching out, and always helping toward our shared vision. Check out any of our 5 editions or visit valleybreeze.com for more.
At Dean Bank, their focus is on helping their customers achieve financial success. Dean Bank is a full-service bank, so they're able to deliver solutions that solve financial problems of all shapes and sizes. And as your neighbor, it's their mission to make a positive impact within the communities where they live and work. Dean Bank offers scholarships to students from participating schools, sponsor local charitable organizations, and more. Visit one of their local Blackstone Valley branches in Bellingham and Blackstone today, or find us online at deanbank.com. Dean Bank, it's my bank.
This is where it gets exciting. It's voting time for BestOfTheBlackstoneValley.com, presented by Landmark Medical Center. You can vote once a day, every day, a total of 14 days. You can vote for your favorite doctor, mechanic, anything that really floats your boat. Go to BlackstoneValley.com. Get on there, find the businesses that you like, and vote for them once a day. You can vote for 20 of them in one day, but every day, once a day, you can vote, and the voting is on now, so get on. BestOfTheBlackstoneValley.com.
All right, it's Coffee In here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Murray and Brian Thompson from the Woonsocket City Council. And just on the national level, anybody, did you watch the president last night speak to the nation?
I did not.
Okay. Brian, did you?
I did.
All right. I did too. So you missed it, Melissa.
I did. I actually was asleep. And
Asleep at 8 o'clock?
yes, yes.
Wow,
I
all
love
right.
I love going to bed early, but not to I use that as an excuse, but I gave blood for the first time in a long time,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I was just like,
A little weak.
I was a little weak, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm just gonna
Okay.
have a hot cocoa, and then I get sleepy.
He was on for about 15 or 20 minutes
Yep. No, I
last
didn't see
night
it.
and got through it just fine. He's looking for $100 billion for Israel and the Ukraine. He's going to say he's going to ask Congress for it. And the question I had is, how does this get passed if there's no Speaker of the House?
Exactly.
It doesn't.
That's right.
It doesn't right now.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's
So there's another vote today at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Not thinking that that's going to result in a new speaker. We know it's not.
Jordan's staying. He's still staying in. So he's,
Yeah, right. And then I was watching the news about this, a little bit before I fell asleep at 8 o'clock. And, supposedly every Republican that went into his office was like, nope, I'm not going to vote for you. So, this goes back to, and I think you can even agree with like some hardcore Republicans on this, like the deals that were made where one person can remove you from office.
Yeah, doesn't seem right.
That's not democracy.
Yeah.
So, okay, Matt Gaetz comes in and says, okay, we're gonna remove McCarthy. All right, well, what's your plan?
You didn't have one. Or you thought he was going to get it, or
Well,
the other guy.
I mean, he had to know that, if you're going to do that, you can at least be strategic about
Yeah.
it. But, all right, I'm going to make a motion to move this guy out. But then we have this guy and we've already
Coming
got the
in.
votes. So we've already whipped the votes. That's the way you do it. But this wasn't about strategy or about
No.
policy. This was about performative politics. And I don't know what's going to happen.
All right.
And personally, I think they shouldn't have gotten rid of McCarthy. But, too late now.
That's right. All right, Brian, thoughts on what the president talked about last night? Do you agree with what he was saying?
Well, so again, I'm in full support, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to. I won't support a terrorist group ever going into another country. I mean, look what happened to us on 9/11, right? I'll never support ever support a terrorist group going into another country. And this has been a war for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I mean, and this will go on for another hundreds and hundreds of years. Personally, do I agree? I think the president and Congress should be 100% behind Israel. This is my personal opinion. That's what we need to do. They're their own country. They're not a terrorist group. I think the president was on last night. I would have liked him to take a little harder line, personally, after watching it. I wish he had taken a harder line. But again, with Congress as crippled as it is right now, I don't know what line you can take. This could go on for months. I mean, I know they're talking about McHenry, the Speaker pro tem, getting more power because they don't know if they'll ever get a speaker before the end of the year. I would implore Congress to immediately move on that and stop crippling the country right now. And that includes Rhode Island. I would implore Congress to move on that. I mean, Matt Gaetz is going to do what he's going to do. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with him. I don't know him personally. He's not my congressman. But to Melissa's point, the fact that one person can file a removal resolution and substantially cripple this country from any legislative moves is just insane to me. I mean, we would never see that here at the state legislature or the city council.
We would never do that.
It's just insane. And whether I support Republicans or Democrats or whatever I do, why would the Republican Party cripple themselves this way? To the point, I mean,
it makes no sense.
It's performative. It's all performative.
They're in charge. Listen, they're in charge of the House of Representatives this year. Yeah. They're substantially hurting their own power to get legislative stuff through. Yeah. It just makes no sense to me.
And the whole party is crippled too.
I felt the same way. This all started under John Boehner years ago. And I believe when they took over Congress in 2010 under the Obama administration, when there was a group of congressmen and women and I believe it was the Freedom Caucus or whatever it was, there was a group of 20 of them that decided they were going to mess around with John Boehner, and then it ended up being Paul Ryan.
Tea Party.
Yeah, that's what it was, the Tea Party. And, in the same, and I got to tell you, the same could be said on the far left, on the Democrat side. I'm not, they could easily cripple themselves if they ever take the House back. They could hurt themselves. I just don't see. I think there's I don't think there's an appetite on the Democrat side to cripple the country.
Right.
I just think the Republicans right now, they need to find their way, and I implore them to do it. I hope one of these days.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's so disappointing.
Mm-hmm. So you don't see a vote today that's going to go.
I don't see a vote today
of
that is going to go anywhere.
Just the same as it's always been.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening. I don't think
either.
anybody else. I think again, this is just performative. And okay, how many times are we gonna go and vote? Is it going to be 15, 18?
Yeah.
It's really ridiculous.
I mean, it took Speaker McCarthy 15 votes.
15.
That's
right.
Right. It took to get the required 218 at the time. Mm-hmm. And again, he gave up. He basically fell on the sword.
Yeah.
He had to give up any power that he had basically, and look what just happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Within 10 months of him being speaker,
you're out.
You're out of here. See you later.
All right. Well, that's our government working for us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a few more minutes to go here.
It's not like they just get a small stipend, right?
Very small. That's right. All right, we got a few more minutes to go here in the program. Just bring you up the weird stuff that's going on in the world.
Let's talk about weird.
All right. A set of identical twin sisters may have tried to swap places in connection to a deadly crash involving an Amish buggy in Minnesota. Search warrants indicate that investigators believe one of the sisters was covering for the other when she claimed she was driving an SUV that hit a buggy that killed 2 children.
Oh my gosh.
The warrant says the sisters were talking about the fact that the officers could not tell them apart. It also states the employer of the sister allegedly not involved reached out to investigators claiming she had used an employee messaging system to tell someone she had used meth and was high during the crash.
That's a good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
That's kind of messed up.
let's use my employer's messaging system because
Try to use that as an alibi.
yeah. Good times.
And the officers say, who's who? Can't tell them apart. All right.
That's insane.
All right.
So, but like, okay, so one sister was gonna take the fall for the other.
Yes. I guess
Oh.
maybe one had maybe the one that's using the meth here shouldn't be driving. That's part of her parole or something like that.
Sure.
So you take the you take this for me, or I'm going to go back to jail. They'll never know. They can't tell
I
us apart.
mean, okay.
It's a crazy story.
It's
It
a
probably
crazy
won't work,
story.
but okay. Now, Brian, are you a fan of the NBA?
Sure I am.
Okay.
I love sports.
There's a new study, and people will do study on anything.
Sure they
And
will.
the new study claims to have figured out which NBA team has the most vulgar fans.
Welcome to
boy.
Boston.
It is not the Celtics.
Wow,
How
I'm
about that?
surprised.
Betway looked at Reddit and monitored the online chatter amongst fan bases. And after counting up the number of vulgar words used in each team's subreddit over the past 4 seasons, the club with the most profane fans is, you want to guess?
No, go ahead.
The Phoenix Suns.
Wow.
Wow.
Must be the Heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's gotta be.
yeah. The heat will make you crazy over there.
They came up with a total of 577 profanities.
Wow.
All right. Toronto Raptors come in second.
Oh.
And then
Them Canadians.
the Philadelphia 76ers. And I can see the Philadelphia 76ers
yeah.
Yep.
for some reason. They are close second and third, 524, 501. Words respectively. The least likely to use colorful language, also not the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
The Charlotte Hornets come in with 82.
Oh, I'm a little surprised for Charlotte.
Far below the
They're so
577.
genteel. They're so genteel down
Well, so
south.
Southern
right?
gentlemen
Yes.
down there.
Sure.
So there you go. That's but yeah, they'll do study just about anything, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
You're not-
So
you're
someone
not lying
decided,
there.
I have a bunch of free time. I'm going to go through
Who swears the most?
4 series worth of Reddit threads.
Yeah. Well,
Hopefully get paid.
more American workers, they're back in the office. The U.S. work from home rates have dropped to the lowest since the pandemic. Everybody get back into the office buildings.
Well, that's been a thing. I can tell you right now from traffic going into Boston and Cambridge, I can tell you that's an absolute fact.
Just more
What
and
a
more
change
and
it's
more.
been in the last 6 months. I can
Yeah.
tell you right now.
So were you driving into Boston back
So
in
I-
2020?
So yes, I was.
Must have been a breeze.
Yes, it was. And then
Compared to
but
now.
and for many years, I've been driving into Boston since 1999.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that it was the best in 2020 when
Yeah.
we, even though the pandemic was going on, that you could leave your house at 7 o'clock in the morning in Woonsocket, be in Boston in an hour.
Yep.
Today, you leave your house at 7 o'clock in the morning to go into Boston Monday through Friday. They'll see me at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So, and again, even the train, I take the train in from Forge Park.
Yeah.
Same scenario. It was dead last year. It was dead the year before.
But now the train's back.
Now it's back at 5:05 in the morning. It's progressively has a lot more people on it. So I can tell you, people are going back in the office.
According to the latest census data, fewer than 26% of households still have someone working remotely at least one day a week, a sharp decrease from the early 2021 peak of 37%. Data also shows only 7 states and Washington, D.C. have a remote work rate above 33%. All 50 states have seen work-from-home rates fall from their pandemic highs. Mm-hmm. And that was all a concern back in 2020. What are we going to do with all these office buildings when workers, when the owners
Right.
figure out, hey, they can just work from home. We don't have to have them here in these big buildings anymore. But
We
that's
were
not an
concerned.
issue
We
anymore.
were concerned. Well, I'm a general
Your
foreman for a
business,
sheet metal
yeah.
contractor. We were equally concerned. We thought maybe these buildings that were going up was going to be like an 08, 09 scenario again, where
gonna drop
halt the project. We're not going any further because
Yeah.
people are not going to come
back.
They're going to that is not going to be the case. I think we're getting back to normal life around here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think people will start going back. There's always going to be remote.
Some.
Yeah.
There's always going to be some sort of remote, whether people come in don't come in Mondays and Fridays, but Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, they're
You're
required
here.
to come in. I mean, look at Google. Google and Dell and other places said, hey, listen, Mondays and Fridays, we'll let you take it off, but Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, you're in the office.
Right.
And I think that's a good mix. It's good for families and stuff like that.
All right, final story, Melissa, because you're a dog person, you're a pet person.
Yeah.
New York City's honorary dog mayor is meeting with other elected officials today. The puppy, Sally Longday, is the first female dog mayor of New York City.
It's
And
about time.
and was elected to the position via an online vote last November. She's going to get a tour of New York City Hall today and sitting with New York City officials, including the Councilwoman's Caucus and Mayor Eric Adams. So
Okay.
they're all going to get together with a puppy. Isn't that great?
I mean, seems like a fun time.
Should be a fun time for them.
Hopefully she behaves. The behavior of the dog. I mean, what if the dog goes
No
crazy?
No biting like the first dog. The biting
No,
dog
I
bites all
know.
the Secret Service agents.
Right,
That's true.
right. When I had my very first puppy, I took. I was not working at the State House at the time. It was like 20 something years ago, but my mother was working at the State House at the time. She said, "Oh, bring in the puppy. Everybody wants to see him." And he was like little. He was a little Dawson Terrier.
Yeah.
And I put him down. And he walked around. He made a little circle and dropped a little prize right in the State House. So I was like, "Oh well."
Oh, that's terrific.
Okay, so maybe we don't need to be out in public yet. hopefully this dog is much
Much better.
much better behaved than mine.
All right.
So, Joe, before you
Yes.
you end the show, if I could plug an event that I'm going to
Go ahead.
over the weekend. I'm going to a comedy show at St. Joe's down on Lewis Street in Woonsocket, 2 to 5 on Sunday. Meatballs and pasta. John Parada and Grandma Martha will be there for the comedy show. So anybody wants to pop down on this rainy weekend, I think they'd love to have you. It's $20 a person.
All right. Very
And
good.
we have
Brian.
the details on our events page.
Really?
Yep.
All right. That'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, everyone. Melissa Murray, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Brian Thompson, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
That was a good time.
Absolutely.
This is Joe Callahan. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do You Remember is next at 9:30 on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
6 Jewish protesters